What's up, everybody? Garrett back here, and I just got on to seeing Ty West's newest movie, Pearl. And we all know that Pearl is the prequel to X, which also came out this year from Ty West. Now, the thing about this whole X kind of universe here is that it was pretty much done under the radar, it felt like. X came out kind of out of nowhere, and it kind of blew horror audiences away. Then all of a sudden we get a trailer at the end of X for Pearl, which came out the exact same year. And now we're getting another trailer for a third installment called Maxine, which is taken to take place in the 80s. And it's just wild to me that these movies were kind of done under the radar and are now some kind of trilogy or franchise or whatever his plan is with this series. And I just find that so fascinating and cool. It's not something that we see on a regular basis anymore. Now, again, I just really enjoy Ty West. I talked about this in my X review, so if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out now. How much I was a fan of him since I saw House of the Devil when that first was released. So, man, X was something that blew me away as a horror fan. It's actually my favorite movie of the year thus far. But man, Pearl, I was so excited for this, and I thought this thing was shot well. It was acted extraordinarily well. Like I said before, Ty West just knows how to take those times that he wants to be in, either it's the 70s, 80s, 60s, whatever it may be, and just makes it look like it was straight from there. For instance, Pearl to me had this like colorful but yet dated look that I felt like, to me, it reminded me a lot of Wizard of Oz and how that looked. And there was some shots and scenes in it that I swear I'm like, this was heavily inspired by Wizard of Oz, with her on the bike riding back and forth. But man, this was really good. Now, I want to talk about my issues with this now, because I think that it was a very strategic move on Ty West's part to give us X first. Okay, to give us X. X was really hard hitting. It was different. It had a grittiness to it. You could have called it something like a slasher, but there was elements to it that me as a longtime horror fan was kind of taken back and like, this is different. This is cool. Now, Pearl, I was hoping for the exact same thing. Like I said, based on when it was taking place and going back and finding out about Pearl's past, I was already so intrigued by this. But I do think if this was released first and X was the sequel to Pearl, I do not think this would have done that well, honestly, because when the movie was over, people were laughing. They were saying, what the hell was that? What did I just watch? And it was almost like a spectacle of disappointment throughout the theater that I was at. Now, me being such a huge fan of X, I appreciated Pearl a lot and I liked it. But, you know, if I'd never seen X before, I could see this being a big problem of people being like, what did I just see and why? So it was a very unique thing that Ty West did, giving us X first. Now, my only concern about Pearl is for the people who either didn't see X that may want to check this out, thinking it's some kind of like horror movie that takes place in the 1920s or whatever. But that's where I think we might run into an issue here. I don't know if Pearl is only for a limited time in theaters. I know X was, but I'm not sure if this has just a small little run to get those horror fans and X fans in the door. Now, I don't want to go to any spoilers in here, so there'll be no spoilers. I might do a review on that later, but the acting, Mia Goth blew it away with her acting. It was fantastic. She went to a whole new level. I think she is someone that we need to take very serious as far as an upcoming actress. And her mother did a great job as well. So good. It really did feel like everything kind of worked. And understanding X, you kind of put some pieces together. So they did a really good job connecting the two movies, I thought, as far as little Easter eggs. Be like, oh, I remember that from X. And, oh, that makes sense now. So I thought he did a real good job at that. Personally, though, when I went into X, I really didn't have a lot of expectations, and it kind of blew me away. I will say, coming into Pearl, I had a lot of expectations, and I kind of felt a little bit underwhelmed with what I was hoping for with this. It is very different than X. Understandably, it was telling a story that we needed to continue with this story in this X kind of universe. But I felt like we could have got a little bit more here. I loved it. I think everything was done well. But I do think that we could have got a little bit more because there's such a big gap kind of where this ends and where X starts, that unless he's got something that's going to fill in this gap, because we did find some stuff out in X that would fit right in this gap here. So either we're going to get that, or this kind of ended a little prematurely, in my opinion. Now, when I go back and I say, is Pearl better than X? You know what? They're both very different. Very, very different. I think as a whole, I'm going to say I still like X better. It's just a little bit more my style when it comes to horror. I'm not even sure if we would put Pearl into that horror kind of category, but because it's connected to X, and because, like I said, going into X with zero expectations and being really happy when I left, and then going into Pearl with a lot of expectations, which I usually never do, and then coming back being like, I wish I got a little bit more from it. But all in all, I think it's a great movie. I think it's connecting these movies relatively well. Mia Goth killed it. Do I recommend Pearl? I do, but I do recommend watching X first if you haven't seen it. So, guys, again, I don't want to get too spoilery or even tell you much more, because there is some cool stuff that happens here, but know this, it is shot extremely well. There's some great scenes in it, similar to X, and everything Ty West does. The way he shoots things is just absolutely extraordinary, and the acting is great, and it looks fantastic. So, guys, I would recommend checking out Pearl, but see X first. So now let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this? I can see this going both ways. I know that Pearl is getting a lot of praise, which it deserves, don't get me wrong. A lot of times when I say, I liked something better than this, but I still liked it, that gets turned around to be like, he didn't like it. I liked it a lot, but I'm going to say, is X better than Pearl? In my opinion, and what I look for in horror movies, if you want to call that this, I would say X. To me, it's still my favorite movie of the year. So leave me down in the comments below, what did you think of this movie? And can you see this being a little bit of a problem if we got Pearl first and then had a sequel to X? Do you think this would have caught on as good? Do you think it was smart putting X first? And imagine if you hadn't seen X walking into this movie, would you have still walked out of it really, really excited on what you just saw? Because again, like I said, my theater did not seem to like this movie whatsoever after those credits hit. So thanks for checking this out. This is Garrett at Born2beRad, and like always, stay rad.